I think the best way to start talking about the Blackhawks is talking about the Kyle Davidson extension because before their last game they played against the Sharks, which they won. I can't help but laugh at the timing because they were just on that awful losing streak. Not only were they losing, but they just looked completely lifeless. Some of the worst hockey I've seen this team play in the last few years, really this decade. And that's saying a lot because there's been a lot of bad Hawks teams in this decade. But yeah, Danny Wirtz on the final game of the season before the game started went on the CHSN broadcast and said that Kyle Davidson got extended. And usually contracts, especially for GMs, are more ambiguous than especially the players and sometimes the coaches. I feel like we know more about the coaches' contracts than the GMs, and obviously we have all this access to the players' contracts. But I think I saw Elliot Freeman say that they were working on this earlier in the year, so I didn't know that Kyle Davidson's contract was up, but I was just under the assumption he is here for the long haul, and we were right about that. They clearly believe in Kyle Davidson's plan. And there's part of me thinking, man, if we're here again next year, I think at the very least, we got to have a serious discussion about Kyle Davidson's job security. But yeah, Danny Wirtz, they believe in the plan. They extended him. And I hope that came with the caveat of let's make this team better because we cannot be finishing in the bottom two, bottom three every year. But yeah, what are your thoughts right now, I guess?
It probably
About
would have
where
been a
this
little
team is
different
at.
if it was post game 82, but we've gone a little
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like I'm just indifferent to it at this point. I really don't care. The team showed signs of growth this year. The final 20 games were super concerning.
Yeah.
Half of them just phoned it in. So we got to really work on that. I know a lot of them are kids and they haven't played a full 82 game season before, and that does take a toll on some of these players. But like, yeah, it's unacceptable. And then I think I saw I was watching like a recap video of the Hawks this season, and it was like they had a stint in December where they lost 10 to 12. And that was right when they lost Bedard and Nazar, and that'll tank your season right then and there. So I hope they have plans to, not fall off a cliff if their two best players get hurt again. You'd like to have contingencies and have depth to where that doesn't become a problem, but people are going to get hurt, and we've talked about this before. The reality is Nazar hasn't played a full healthy 82 game season, but Bedard's only done it once, and you have to have other options than just those two. Frondell looks like a piece. Lardish started to show some signs at the end of the year, but it's got to be more than just that. I can't stress enough, like Ryan Green and Andre Burakovsky better not see that top line next year. Like the second one of them gets put in there, I'm fucking throwing a fit. It's not even funny. It's not even fucking funny. It's just it's malpractice of a fucking star player. It's unbelievable. Like I think I've said it before. I shouldn't be watching what Taves went through in 2017 with a 20-year-old. This is fucking horseshit. They didn't do this with Taves when he was 20. They did it after he was a fucking veteran and, was able to fucking carry his own line, which Bedard still can do. But they did it out of necessity, not out of we're just going to do it because. Like, it's pointless. But I'm not even going to entertain any offseason talks right now. Going to be honest. Like, I'm not doing the what if game right now. Really don't care. Need to just see where they're sitting in the draft lottery. I can hear Pagnotta and Freeman and Staravalli and all these fucking clowns say that the Hawks are going to trade for Matthew Nyes, that they're going to make these moves. I'll believe it when I fucking see it. And I'm not really going to entertain it at this point. As far as I'm concerned, this team's going to look exactly the same next year. So I need to figure, like, we just got to work on winning habits from within at this point, because I don't think outside help is going to fix this right now, unfortunately. You've made your bed with these prospects. You can't just fucking shit on them. And, it'd be nice to have veterans to insulate them, but you're not going to take that route. So you need to fucking get a culture set, or else these guys are going to be fucking developed as losers. And they already are being developed as losers. They already have losing tendencies. They already have losing habits. And those are impossible to break. Go ask Detroit how hard it is to break those losing habits. Like, it took Buffalo 15 years and like 4 different cores to figure it out. Ugh. Don't put yourself in that situation. But That's besides the point. I don't know. They're in a spot where you could either be where San Jose is next year, you could be where Anaheim is next year, or you can completely be where you are right now. It'd be nice to, show more growth. Technically, they have shown growth every year, but it's the fucking smallest margin of growth. I'm not even going to call it growth. This should have been a season where you finished with 30-ish, 35 wins with the way you started and the way that the season went, and you squandered it. The amount of times they let up like 7 or more goals is unacceptable. Yeah, it's a habits thing. It's a culture thing. I don't know. It starts with how they train this offseason. Like I don't know. There's a lot of guys who need to put on like 20 pounds. There's a lot of guys who need to find an extra step in their game. There's a lot of guys who need to just I don't know what the equivalent of a jugs machine in hockey is, but like just put Ryan Green in front of a net for the next 6 months and figure out how to bury corners. Put Frank Nazar in the left circle for the next 6 months so we can learn how to bang a one-timer in on the power play, because little shit like that is what will help this team win, not overpaying Alex Tuck as much as I would like to. Like, if you could fix the little shit with the players that are already here, you can develop this from within. But until then, that's all hearsay and that's all just wishful thinking. So a lot of work to be done this offseason.
Yeah, and like you said, this is a group of losers right now. And not to say that's something that can never change. Like, Florida Panthers were a laughingstock of a franchise, and they finally built a winning core and they won. Like, you could change that so easily. Well, not easily. Like, it'll take some time, but it's not like you're not stuck to the loser tag forever. But yeah, all the players are losers. Like, we've talked kind of jokingly, pawn hockey. That's what they do. Off the ice, I see a bunch of guys that love each other, but now we gotta take the next step, and you gotta like know how to die for each other on the ice. And yeah, no kidding. All these guys are losers because that's what the front office has wanted. They wanted losing. When you have Kyle Davidson as your GM, and he hasn't tried at all to make this team better despite all the stockpiling of assets, draft picks, and prospects. And also, your owner, CEO Danny Wirtz, has allowed this to continue. And having Bedard has been like, it's been awesome watching him, but it's been such a curse because my thing is, I think as fans, we have so much more control than what we think we do, because the only way things are going to change and for them to make this team better is if we stop going to the games. But also, I don't blame people go to the games because you got Connor Bedard. So we always have the discussion of, oh, I want to have Bedard sign an 8-year contract, but there's part of me that wants to see him sign a short-term contract and see what Kyle Davidson would do. And that goes for the same with the draft lottery. I would love Stenberg or McKenna. Not that I think that would solve all the problems, but it would certainly help a lot. But I would like to see what he would do if he drops, or they stay at, no, they're at 2. So if they drop to 3 or drop to 4. But knowing how the draft is going to work and how other NHL GMs are going to work, they're probably going to have one of them fall into their laps anyways. So, yeah, I just another thing that has boggled my mind is the lack of planning, like the lack of second plans. What's the saying? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and that's been this front office in a nutshell. You said earlier that Nazar and Bedard have, like, Bedard's only had one full healthy season. Nazar has not had a full healthy season yet. I think you have to plan as if both of them are going to get injured next year. In all fairness, I mean that's just brutal luck. Like, you take any team's 2 best forwards out of it, it's going to be rough. But especially for the
I mean, look at
Blackhawks,
Florida,
this
for
team
God's
just
sake.
sunk. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, like half the team is injured and they didn't make the playoffs, but now they're gonna have a long off season to regroup and probably gonna have like I don't know where they are right now, but they're gonna have a top 10 pick and they're either gonna get a good prospect or they're probably gonna trade it for Brady Tkachuk. But
I was like, yeah,
more on that later.
Brady Tkachuk. Yeah.
And the plan seems to be that Frundell is going to play in their top 6 next year, which I think is a pretty good bet because he was their best player down the stretch. And again, I think that says a lot about your team culture, that a guy who played in Sweden the whole year and came over and hasn't played in North America yet was your best looking player. And all of this like includes Connor Bedard too. There were some nights where he looked just completely disinterested, and I don't know if that was lack of effort or if that schedule, that compressed schedule with the Olympics was that much. You had the 2 or 3 weeks off to recover from all the compressed schedule you play with. Like, yeah, there's so much work to be done with this team. And while I like a lot of the pieces, like, who are you certain is going to be on this team when they're a winning team? Like Bedard, obviously, but I just think of it as if there's a trade that comes along, who are you like? Who are your untouchables? It's Bedard. Frundell would need to take a lot. Like if it came down to it, Jason Robertson.
It'd
Yeah,
have to be
yeah.
Jason Robertson. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
person I'm trading him for. Straight up.
Frank Nazar. I don't even know if teams would take Frank Nazar on just because of the contract. And I still I believe in Frank Nazar so much with all the ups and downs he had this year with the injuries. He was still on pace for 50 points. And I know people are complaining about the contract, but if he's just a regular 50, 60 point guy, which is kind of what I expected
Need
out of
those.
him anyways, that's perfectly fine. That's your second line center right there. And then you just go to the rest of the roster, especially the defense, man. I like Lev Shunov is so young. It was frustrating this year because it was feast or famine with him. It felt like where he would just have incredible game. Like it was the both ends of things where he would do things defensemen in the NHL can't do, and that would be the best of the best and the worst of the worst. And Sam Renzel, that was just the kiss of death of everyone saying he was going to win the Calder, and Frank Saravalli, oh, he's never going to play a game in Rockford. And I think that just speaks to the point of this is such a long process. We got to let these guys take their time and develop, and we don't need to make these bold proclamations. Who on the defense is untouchable to you? Because as far
No
as I'm
one.
concerned, there's a trade for Vlasic to upgrade to say Thomas Chabot. I'm doing it. If Alex Vlasic is part of a trade to get Quinn, not like the Quinn Hughes trade is coming past. You're not making a trade for Quinn Hughes, but if there was ever that opportunity early in the year to trade a Vlasic and whoever else for Quinn Hughes, I would have done it. Yeah, this team just needs so much help anywhere. And at last draft, I was like, Blackhawks should take Michael Misa, but now imagine this team with a Matthew Schaefer, but also imagine this team like a couple of off seasons ago when Mikhail Sergachev was available. Well, I don't think a lot of teams knew Mikhail Sergachev was available, and Utah still went out there anyways and made the trade. And that's what I want to see out of this GM. This GM can have a Utah offseason like in 2024 when Utah essentially built their whole defense in one fell swoop. Got Sergachev, got Marino, got Dursey. There's no reason why the Hawks can't do that. And we were talking about it. The phrase of "it takes two to tango" translates to I
I
don't
don't
want
want
to
a
trade.
tango.
Yeah, I don't want to tango, and I'm not willing to give up my prospects to make a trade happen.
You got to spend something to get something, and I think we just watched back-to-back Stanley Cup champions win that exact same way. Like, if you told anyone in 2022 the Panthers were going to trade their 117-point winger and then make 3 straight Cup finals because of it, I don't think anyone. Oh no! Not only that, they traded their best defensive defenseman too to get Matthew Tkachuk. Like, sometimes you just got to fucking change the mix. Like, how often do you hear Leaf fans scream about that? Or, for the longest, it was the Capitals. They needed to shake up the core. Remember at one point it was, they're going to trade their Backstrom's not going to resign. They're going to trade Ovi.
Ovechkin for Seabrook. Let's
Oh,
go.
man. There was a time.
Crazy
There was a time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just, there's moves to be made out there. You just got to go find them. And there's a difference between tire kicking and doing actual research on what it would cost. And I think I've brought this up to you before as well with the NHL. No, I'm going to bring it up again. When was the last time a top prospect's ever been fucking traded in the NHL? Like a top prospect, which would be Anton Frundell in this case. When was the last time that fucking happened?
The closest I think of is Vegas when trading all their top 3 prospects that they drafted in 2017. Like the worst that they got out of it was trading Nick Suzuki for Max Pacioretty. But then, oh no, we trade Eric Branstrom for Mark Stone, who was our captain who lifted the cup when we won. And then we traded Peyton Krebs for Jack Eichel, who was our number 1 franchise center. I'm missing a guy, Cody Glass. I don't think they trade him for anything.
Nick Suzuki for Max Pacioretty.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, great teams make good moves. Like it's just the reality of the situation. I look at Tampa bringing in a guy like Gensel and sending out a guy like Stamkos. Like that's what good teams do. Um, I think
Trading
Dallas is,
Sergachev and getting Moser back, incredible
yeah,
trade for both sides.
yeah, and Dallas has done this time and time again. I mean, hell, that's how he got Miko fucking Rantanen in the first place. But like, you just gotta get creative, and there will be teams out there to get creative. We're gonna get into it later. There's gonna be teams out there looking to blow it up. There's two teams that are about to get swept out of these playoffs. I can't
The
imagine
one that
them
already
running it
is.
back with the core. Yeah, we'll get to that. But there's gonna be moves to be had. Like I think I was talking to you, like there's a world where Drake Batherson's out there. You gotta go get him. There's a world where Thomas Chabot's out there. You gotta go get him. Hell, I'll even go a little smaller. If there's a world where like I don't even know. Like I would take Trevor Moore on the Hawks for the bottom six purpose. Like there's going to be names out there to go acquire that could help this team play a winning style of hockey and just get them over the hump a little more. And you need guys who play a winning style, and those players are going to be out there. Now, it's kind of bullshit that the two biggest names are in our division, so we're not going to even be able to sniff them most likely. But, you know, that's hockey. Like, if we were in the Pacific Division, I'd say we're getting Jason Robertson. But no, we're in the Central, and there's not a chance in hell they're fucking trading him to us. Unless they offer sheet him. And they're not going to offer sheet him because no one in the NHL is a spine. So, and what a better time to offer sheet than offer sheet your division rival and fucking handicap them.
Bro, just force them to make a move. That's
Times
all.
7 and just say, hey, you got to make a move now. I'm signing you to $2 million more a year than Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah. And not say like you're 100% right. I hate that line of thinking so much because not only is it just a Kyle Davidson thing where I don't think he would ever train the division. I think most GMs wouldn't do that. And once again, it's the same 5 GMs who I think would make that move. And like it is different because this is a rental. He was a rental at the time, but Boston or Florida trading for Brad Marchand, like in the division, like the like in division moves aren't as rare as we think they are. Like they can be done, but then
Once upon
also
a
you
time, the
see,
Blackhawks got a first for trading Ryan Hartman in the division. Like it's a
mm-hmm.
real thing. Like, and the funniest part is the best part of that trade was the 4th round pick, but that's besides the point. Shout out Phil Kershaw. But
yeah.
yeah, like you get fucking creative, man. Just get creative. And the worst part is the teams that have the pieces you need either got someone smart in the room now, like New Jersey, and they're not going to make a dumb move most likely, or they're made so dumb in the front office that they're not going to trade for something that we don't have the assets to make the move. Like I don't like they can throw Matthew Knies' name out there till the fucking cows come home. They are not getting Matthew Knies what the Leafs want right now. The Leafs aren't going to trade him for picks. They're not going to trade him for prospects. They're going to trade him for a defenseman. We don't have any of the defensemen that he would want. I'd probably trade Levshunov for him. Kyle Davidson's not going to do that.
No.
It's just the reality of the situation. So unless the new GM comes in and convinces Keith Pelly to blow it the fuck up, we're not getting Matthew Knies. That's the only way we're getting Matthew Knies is if a Kyle Davidson-esque GM walks in and says, yeah, guys, this isn't going to work. We're blowing this whole fucking thing up. Matthews, what's your list? Nylander, what's your list? And they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. So that's off the table. I've kind of put Detroit out there a couple times. Like, I think if you really put a good package together, you could probably get like, not saying you can get Lucas Raymond, but there are players on that team you could acquire.
Dude, I would take DeBrincat back. Like that's the first like I know we don't want to get like you were like we don't want to get into the what ifs of the off season, but I'm just gonna dive into what ifs and what could have been. But a lot of people are talking about Brandon Hagel. We're gonna talk about him and the Lightning later. I still get the rationalization for that trade because he was at a high shooting percentage, and I just don't ever think he was going to take off in Chicago.
I never
like
saw
he
him
did
being a
in Tampa
90-point
Bay.
player. I don't think anyone did.
Like I didn't think he was going to be an Olympian, but I guess also having guys like Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, and Jake Gensel on your team help a lot. But I also think if he stayed on the Blackhawks, they probably don't get Connor Bedard. I think if he's there, he probably adds an extra 2-3 wins to them and messes those things up. Like I think he's a 30-30 guy, but I don't think he's a guy who's pushing 40 goals and 100 points in Tampa like he is, or like in Chicago like he was with Tampa. Yeah, Alex DeBrincat from the very start was just like a no. That was never gonna work out, especially drafting a defenseman who quite hasn't panned out yet. Like if they drafted, say, a Matt Savoy there, I think we look a little more favorable on that trade. But yeah, like shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah, another team I would look at is Seattle this offseason. But then also they don't have a GM, so do they want to immediately trade all the players? And
Right.
I would take Beniers. I would take Vince Dunn on the defense. I think that could be your Sergachev move. I think May 5th is going to decide a lot of things because, yeah, you do bring up Toronto, maybe not wanting to make or trade Matthew Nice just yet, but yeah, if there is a reality where they don't get into the top 5 and their GM wants pick in the
They want
top
to
10,
pick.
like between 6 and 10, that's your Alex DeBrincat trade on the other side of things. So yeah, um, a lot hinges on that for the Blackhawks and a lot of other teams. And another point I want to make is everyone's talking as if Roman Cat like that's 100% sure thing, and I do think he does sign. I'm not trying to be pessimistic here, but once again, I think that like you don't earn the benefit of the doubt that supposedly one of your biggest pieces who hasn't signed yet is going to be in your lineup next year. Like you
To
don't
be
get that.
fair, he's in the middle of a conference final playoff
I know,
run.
I
So,
know,
like,
but
there's bigger things
still,
at play.
yeah, you know what I mean, though.
No, I
Like
know
you
what you
don't get,
mean.
yeah,
They're making you're making a guess an absolute or something like that. Like it's not
mm-hmm.
set in stone yet. And you have to make plans as if it's not. And that's why I love that you brought up Seattle, because I feel like Seattle's the team that they could really make some noise with because they need defensemen that can move the puck. We have a buttload of them that are not going to fill this lineup. Let's be honest, they have a couple forwards that need a change of scenery. Holy shit, if you put Shane Wright with Connor Bedard, I promise you he's a 50-plus point player. There's not a doubt in my fucking mind. Like, there's a world where you could just go get Vince Dunn and Shane Wright. It was a one-stop shop. I don't know what you give for that. Maybe it's Lardis, Renzel, and like 2 firsts, but you
I
can
do
do
it.
that. I
I
do it.
do it.
And then you have you have a top 6 forward who can play center, who has a defensive style, who brings a little bit of fucking size to your top 6 too. People don't realize Shane Wright's actually pretty big. And then you get Vince Dunn, who's the perfect puck mover for this back end because we can't have Louis Crevier leading the D core in points again.
As
Like,
awesome as a year he had and like a story he's been, we need to do so much better than this.
yeah, come on, guys.
And we can.
Let's
I
be
know we can.
let's be a real hockey team for 5 seconds.
Let's be
Please.
adults, please. This isn't cute anymore. It hasn't been cute at all. Like
Hasn't been cute.
we were only allowing to give them the grace in 2023 because even if they didn't get Bedard, worst case scenario, they would have dropped to 5 or 6 and got like Will Smith or Matvey Michkov. Like that draft class was so stacked. I don't think you could have gone wrong. But yeah, the last couple years or
What do you
last
mean?
3
David
years now.
Reinbacher's so good.
No, I'm sure everyone's talking about how much of a bust he is, and not all the other great draft picks.
Certainly, they're not
made.
talking about
Like,
Demidov missing like 3 breakaways in the playoffs and taking penalties every game, but that's besides the point.